Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Showing Up to Your Life podcast and YouTube channel. My name is Art Burns, and I'm really excited to be here with you today. If I look a little sleepy, this is one of those cases where I'm recording early in the morning. It's actually not that early. It's actually a little bit past 8, which is practically midday for me these days, but not today. I slept in a little bit today, and so I might look a little tired, and excuse me for that. It's just one of these days where I have to record early because, I have so many different appointments coming up today. And it's just it's so exciting to know that I have, I get to meet with people all day and help them to understand and work through their stress and their anger and their reactivity. And I get to watch them change their lives. So pardon my drowsy looking face and eyes, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of just let you know that that's what's going on here. Nothing wrong, just early morning. So a couple of little announcements I'd like to make. I am about to launch 2 different programs that you might be interested in, and I just wanted to throw this out there to you. One program is called the Introduction to Mindfulness. It starts next month, not this coming Monday, the following Monday, April 5th. On April 5th, Monday evening, and for 6 weeks following, or 6 weeks total, so 5 weeks after the next Monday, I'll be teaching a course on the basics of mindfulness, really just an introduction to mindfulness, as it says, Mindfulness 101, if you will. We're going to go over some basic formal practices, some informal practices, some semi-formal practices, and also some compassion work. And I'm going to give you, over the course of 6 weeks, you'll get about 6 different practices to do. Those are yours to keep forever, right? And I will coach you through how to establish a meditation routine and a mindfulness practice in your life. And I've done this many, many times, and I'm really confident. I'm really excited about it. And so if you're interested in it, that's done, again, it's starting Monday, April 5th, and it goes for 6 weeks. All right. The price for that is $20 per session, or you can pay, which comes out to $120, or you can just pay $100. It's your choice. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to leave the link below that you can get in touch with me, but you can also always email me at art@artburnscoaching.com. That's very simple. Okay, next program. I am also starting a program, and this one's going to start on the 11th, which is a Sunday evening. I think so. I'll get back to you on the exact date. But this is going to be an 8-week program, and this is going to be a program really centered around anger. Right? As you know from my stories, I used to grapple and struggle with deep and really difficult anger issues. And anger is a peculiar emotion. As you know, it's not even a primary emotion. It's really an emotion of an emotion, right? And when anger is present, what it's really doing is it's pushing us to the point where we're out of control. Right now, but that doesn't mean that anger doesn't have use. And so it's never, as I tell you here a lot, it is never about, ignoring anger or shutting anger out or disallowing anger on some level. What it is about understanding your anger, allowing your anger to exist and to process through your body without letting it, completely, enrage you, right? That's the key, right? And as I've said before, anger is a lot like stress in that way, right? In the sense that in small doses and at the right times, anger is perhaps the most useful emotion that we have, right? Just like stress. Stress is this amazing thing that happens in our body, right? There's a story of a 54-year-old man, and I'm 52, but a 54-year-old grandfather lifting a 1,800-pound pipe off of a small child who the pipe had rolled onto in a playground. Literally just ran over to the pipe, lifted it up so the kid could crawl out from underneath it, right? When the cops and firemen came and stuff, this guy, along with his two adult sons, like 25-year-old guys in good shape, they couldn't budge the thing. And they had the paramedics come in and try too, and the cops and everybody, they couldn't budge this thing. I mean, it weighs as much as a car, and this guy just went and lifted it like it was nothing, right? That's the stress response. It's an amazing thing that happens in our body, right? But if it happens all the time, right? If it happens in a lot of like a chronic level, well, then it becomes something, it goes from something that it's amazingly useful, like life-saving, to something that could kill you. Literally. And anger is the same way. Anger, again, in the right place at the right time, in the right measure, it is something that can literally, it's the most powerful motivating emotion that you have. Most powerful motivating emotion that you have, right? But in chronic levels, when anger is just omnipresent, right? And just all the time when you're in that anger place, it starts to work against you. So the program I'm going to start on April 11th is going to deal with that. And it's going to go deeply into that. And I'm going to give you tools and understandings that are going to help you to manage and process that anger in a healthy way. Right? And allow for anger to go when it's not necessary. That's the key, right? Just like stress, right? We get so used to it, we practice it so much that it's something that we can't not be there. So I'm going to help you figure that out. So if you're interested in either of those, again, the link to get in touch with me, to book a call with me, will be in the description below. But again, if you just want to tell me that you're interested and like hold the spot, just send me an email, okay? And then I'll reply with all the details that you need to know. Pretty soon I'm going to have a website up and running. Like in the next couple of days, I plan to have a website up and running. I'm going to start making more and more announcements. So this isn't the last time you're going to hear about this, especially that second program. And so if you're looking to get involved with any of that, please hit me up, okay, and save a spot, because I do expect, here's the other thing, right? When you're dealing with a group program like this, I know from experience that if you have more than like 8 to 10 people in any given group, it's too much, right? It gets to the point where either not everybody can ask the questions that they have, which that's not acceptable to me, or it becomes like a 4-hour meeting, which is mostly not acceptable to you, right? And so I'm not trying to give you any kind of like salesy kind of thing here or anything, but I do expect these programs to fill up pretty quick. And I don't know that I'll have enough people for a second group. So if you're interested in this, send me an email. I'll hold your spot. Okay. So thanks for tuning in today. And thanks for allowing me to make those announcements. So today, I wanted to follow up, kind of take the topics that we've been talking about this week just a little bit further, right? So far this week, we've talked about how to kind of make our work, especially the work in this practice, how to turn it into a playful kind of thing, right? To change it from work to play, right? And how helpful that is when you're, trying to establish something like a mindfulness practice, right? It's really, really helpful. But then again, kind of approaching our lives as playful, right? And as an opportunity for creativity, an opportunity for expression, right? If we can look at our whole lives this way, well, then it really does, as I told you the story about Ted Williams, right? We're, if we're living our lives in this way of loose and playful and creative, well, then we're more likely to get into the flow, right? Into a flow state, right? A flow state is when you're so effortlessly tuned into what you're doing that you feel like you can accomplish anything, right? That comes from a place of playfulness. It doesn't come from a place of rigid, effort and toil, right? The flow state will not happen when you're tight and you're anxious and you're squeezing yourself to complete something. That's not when you're going to find flow. You're going to find flow from that place of looseness, right? As the umpire told Ted Williams coming up to bat in the game that he didn't even have to play to secure his 400 batting average for the season, right? The umpire said, if a guy's going to hit 400, he's got to play loose. Right. And that's an umpire who sees everybody come up to bat. So he knows what he's talking about. Right. And so listen to the umpire. Right. And play it loose. Right. And so we talked about that. And then, of course, yesterday we talked about the automatic negative thoughts. Right. Which are the ants crawling around our brains. Right. It's such a crazy image. There's not really ants crawling around your brain. I promise that's impossible. I have a 12-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son, so I have to be careful about these kind of things when I talk about this. So please understand there are no real ants crawling around in your brain. I promise. Okay, so when we talk about the automatic negative thoughts, what we realize is that so much of the thought process that goes on, number one, is automatic, right? Like that's the first whoa, what? like really? Like it's all automatic, and I mean 95% of it. Right. And not only is 95% of it automatic thoughts, but 95% of your thoughts are actually also repeat thoughts. Right. They're not new things coming to your mind. They're running over and over and over. And a lot of those ants, the automatic negative thoughts, are also repetitive thoughts. Right. And what that means is that every time you have those kind of thoughts, you're increasing that stress or that anger, right? Like that's what I'm talking about, right? That's where these things become chronic, right? And so what I'm trying to do here with you and with everyone else is to make happiness chronic, right? Like let's do that. Let's be happy and compassionate and caring. And that doesn't mean tuning things out, right? That doesn't mean a bliss bypass, right? It doesn't mean to, ignore the terrible things that are happening in the world because they don't make you feel good and you got to keep your chill, right? That's not what it's about any more than it is about denying your anger, right? These things are going to cause many more problems. So it's like I told you with Matthew Richard, where, it's like we can allow ourselves to feel the anger and the sadness and the despair that we can sometimes feel when we look at what's happening in the world, right? Feel that, get in touch with it. But beneath that, have this ocean of happiness that we can always turn to and that will always return to us. And so that's what I want to make chronic. I want to make the happiness chronic and make the stress and the anger and the whatever other emotions are going to come up, make those the temporary emotions. So it's really flipping things around, right? And so when we talk about the automatic negative thoughts, right, what we realize is, again, that so much of what's happening in our, semi-conscious mind, right, is, and I say semi-conscious because it's not like it's subconscious or unconscious, right? It's not that we're not, feeling these thoughts as they're going. I mean, it's kind of in the background, right? But it's here, right? It's not like a dream state or something like that, or something that's just not even perceptible, right? And that's where awareness comes in, right? The more that we can bring those thoughts, the automatic negative thoughts, into our real conscious awareness, right? And really pay attention to them, that's when we can mitigate them. That's when we can challenge them. And we can say, hold on a second. This is just not true, right? Like it's just not true, or at least it's potentially not true. Right? Remember your 4 constituents of well-being, as so beautifully and eloquently told to us by Richie Davidson, right? Among those is outlook, right? So let's list all 4, right? Resilience, attention, outlook, and generosity, right? So the outlook part is what I want to talk about now, because that's how that's what really applies to these automatic negative thoughts, right? That by challenging these automatic negative thoughts and simply asking yourself, what if instead of the way I'm thinking right now, that everything here is negative and it's going to go wrong and it's going to be bad, what happens if I turn my mind around and I say, It's possible. There is a positive potential. It is possible that things will go right and that everything's going to be great. It's possible. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen that way, right? But the outlook of knowing that, or the outlook of believing that there is at least a positive potential in the circumstances and the people that you experience, that right there is something that's really beneficial to your well-being, right? It's 25% of your well-being for the sake of argument, right? But also it's good for everyone around you, right? Because if you can become this sort of positive force, right, and you become someone who is, looked at by other people as somebody who is, well, I should follow that person, right? Because that person seems to, they seem to have something that just feels good, right? Remember empathic resonance, right? And then that becomes an act of altruism and generosity, and that's going to feed your resilience and, of course, your attention, because you're paying attention to the thoughts. Then you're working that out too. So you can see how just challenging the automatic negative thoughts becomes a very fulfilling and very healthy thing for you to do for yourself, right? Regardless of the outcomes, regardless of what actually happens as a result of whatever you're having the automatic negative thoughts about, right? Regardless of all that, it's still going to be really good for you to learn to notice and recognize and challenge those automatic negative thoughts, right? And the way to do it is just very simply through the same practices that I talk about. That's the beauty here, that all this stuff comes back down to the same very basic practices. And so the hard part is getting into a routine where you do them, right? And that's why I offer these programs, right? Like, that's how this all works, right? But anyway, one of the truly beneficial things that comes from, directly comes from this challenging of the automatic negative thoughts, right, is the appropriate level of sense of urgency. Right. Now, let me rephrase that. That sentence didn't seem very clear. So a lot of times we get this sense of whether we feel like we don't have enough time. We feel like, if we don't do this one thing, remember yesterday, part of the automatic negative thoughts is this, catastrophizing, right? Like, because that's what happens, as maybe you don't, maybe I haven't talked about this yet, but what happens in our minds, right, is, and I think I did talk about this yesterday, but what happens in our minds is that the thoughts, right, become stories. And they happen very quickly, right? I told you yesterday I definitely talked about this yesterday, yeah, because it's actually in the, I talked about this anyway. There's a guy who I was listening to the other day who said that his son came home and failed a math test, right? And like within the span of like seconds, right, this man was convinced that his son failed this math test, so therefore he's gonna not get, he's gonna fail the year, he's gonna have this really bad grade on his record. He's not going to get into a college, and he's going to be homeless, right? Within seconds, right? Jack Kornfield tells a story that when he was first in his in the monastery, he was doing a body scan meditation, and when you do a body scan meditation, you're really just going inch by inch over your whole body and just feeling what you find there. It's a fantastic exercise. I really recommend it. I have a couple of guided ones for you if you want. Just hit me up and I'll send it to you. It's amazing. But anyway, when he's doing this body scan, something happened, which is actually not unusual, but he didn't know that at the time. But there were points and areas of his body where he just couldn't feel anything, right? It felt numb. And then, of course, a few months before this, he was working in the Peace Corps in Southeast Asia, where there's leprosy, right? And he actually was dealing with lepers, people with leprosy. And he, and he realized that as he's doing his meditation, his mind, went to the fact that he that one of the first signs of leprosy is numbness in areas of your skin, and that becomes the lesions, right? And so within, again, seconds, he was, convinced not only that he had leprosy, but also like was sitting there saying like he's never even going to see his parents again, right? He's never going to make it out of Asia to even come home and say goodbye to his parents, right? And that's how, again, within seconds, we come up with these very elaborate stories, right? But they all start with a thought, right? Like an automatic negative thought, right? You feel something's wrong. Oh my gosh, it's the worst thing possible. It's the catastrophe that we've all been waiting for. Here it is, right? And then that thought leads to another thought, leads to another thought, leads to another thought. Our emotions are along for the ride. Our sensation, we're getting tight, we're getting, painful. It's all happening all in a rush. Right. And so again, when we can turn ourselves inward and see the automatic negative thoughts and see the power that these things have to start this catastrophizing process of this story making, well, then we can say, okay, hold on. What is really going on here? Right? Because as I started to say a moment ago, so often we have these senses of urgency, right, in our lives. We feel like there's not enough time. We feel like for me, I have a 12-year-old daughter, right, who, I'm going to say this quietly because I don't want her to hear me. I'm just kidding. She's upstairs. But when, she's got a real difficulty with brushing her teeth. It's always been a thing. It's just been a struggle, trying to get her to brush her teeth, trying to, get her into the habit. And I try. And sometimes, she does real well at times, but she just, it's a kid. She doesn't want to brush her teeth, of course. And she, she forgets to do it or whatever. Right. And so I find myself in times where I'm like, oh my gosh, she didn't brush her teeth, and I'm thinking like, because she didn't brush her teeth once or twice or even 3 times, it's like, oh, that's it. Next week we're going to be at the dentist and all her teeth are going to get pulled out and it's all going to be my fault. And I'm going to be responsible for this. And when she's 40 years old, she's going to hate me. Right? That's how the catastrophizing thing happens, right? And it happens. I mean, this happens to me, I have the tools to deal with this, but like, I'm talking as recently as like a week ago, this process would happen, right? Or try to happen anyway. Again, I don't allow it to get to that point, but that's where it tries to go, right? And so many times we have these senses of urgency, right? And again, if you remember, one of the other parts of automatic negative thoughts is the sort of black and white nature. Right. It's like either this or it's that. It's nothing. Right. There's no flexibility. It's a very rigid place. Right. And so again, part of the wonderful thing that we can do is we can recognize and we can disidentify with this, right? And that's part of the key. That once you build a certain level, a deep enough level of awareness, you can disidentify it, right? You can say like, look at what my mind's doing. Look at these automatic negative thoughts popping up. Look at how my mind is trying to scare me. Isn't it cute? Isn't it sweet the way it's trying to protect me like this? Aw, thanks, mind. You're the best. And now I can walk away and I don't have to get caught up in it. Right. And so when we can bring our, I'm sorry, let me reverse that. Let me say something different. Part of what allows for this, right, is, again, it's practice, right? It's always about practice, right? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your body to feel the knowledge, right? The experience, right? There's 2 ways that you can learn. And there's actually 2 separate circuitries in the brain that are make learning possible. One circuitry is about learning from a book or from a video or a podcast or a teacher, right? It's sitting there and it's learning information. It's taking information in, it's processing it, and it's learning through an informational kind of level, right? The other type of learning is experiential. right? Now, here's the thing. If you try one but not the other, it's not going to work. And this is why we have tests, right? A test is experiencing, right? Going to classes, that's an experience, right? But with us, what we're talking about is actually doing the practices, right? There's only so much I can tell you about this. But when you do the practices, that's when you're going to start to feel these things, right? And you're going to start to really, embrace and experience it on a visceral level, right? And an embodied level. And that's where you're trying to get to. So the idea of, one of the ideas, though, that can help with that facilitation, right, of the mental understanding, it comes back to impermanence. Right? Like if we can really embrace the fact that everything is impermanent. And I'm talking about, really like let this idea take up some space in your mind, right? Like let this live rent free in your mind. Not instead of that person that pissed you off yesterday at work, right? And you're thinking about them all day. Think about impermanence all day, right? And remind yourself to think about it and dwell in it. And really do. Like, like sometimes I look at a building and I say, you know what? In 1,000 years, that building's not going to be there anymore. Right. And that's the truth. Right. And nothing is permanent. Not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your body at all, not your relationships, not the earth, not the sun, not the moon. None of it is permanent. Right. And as we embrace this concept of impermanence, that allows us to say, okay, is it really as dire and as urgent as I think it is? If everything is so impermanent, how could everything also simultaneously be so very important, right? Or very urgent as I'm assigning it to be, right? With my automatic negative thoughts, right? So that might be something to help you to just kind of consider the impermanence of everything and also the interconnection of everything. But we'll talk about that in another time. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit, kind of a little bit more rambling than some of my videos. But I hope I felt like this was all stuff that needed to be covered and needed to be sort of reminded. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you find it beneficial. And if you have any questions, okay, as I told you, the link is going to be below. So if you have any questions, you book a call with me. Let's get on the phone. Let's talk. Okay, let's see what's going on. And when two people start talking, you never know what's going to come from it. So let's do that. Let's check it out. All right. Otherwise, there's some other links down below for my other podcasts, for the Saturday group meditation tomorrow, which is totally free, just on a donation basis if you move to make a donation. Otherwise, just got to show up, and you can get the information right by clicking that link below. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. And don't forget to subscribe, rate and review, and do all the beautiful YouTube and podcast things. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll be back on Monday. Take care.